So when I started here this summer, told y'all my purpose. And my purpose is to transform lives and to encourage others to make a positive difference in this world. And so every week when I talk, that's my underlying thought, is that I want to transform my life. I want you to transform your life. And I want us all to encourage others to make a difference in their world. And we're here not just to collect information or to discuss abstract theories. We're here to practice a new way of being. We're here to uncover the divine power that's within us. It already resides there. We just have to uncover it. And we have to learn how to direct that power so that it makes our life one of wholeness and abundance and peace. And today we're beginning a journey through a powerful framework of living and leading. This journey is based on this book. It's called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. It's a great book. Now, this book was used as part of the text in the Integral Ministry practice class that I took for a year. And Reverend Mo, who's working with Unity of Melbourne, took that same class. And guess what? We're both doing this book. You can't get away from us. If you leave here and go to Melbourne, you're still going to get it. You may get the same lesson 2 weeks in a row, because I think I'm a week behind her, so just so you know. But it's a great book. The commitments in here are also in the Bible, and they're in our Unity teachings. We're just using it as a framework for what we do. But before we can look at the commitments, we'll be studying over the next 15 weeks. Well, it'll be more than that, because we got Palm Sunday and Easter in there, so 17 weeks. But they're all different. You could come any week and you would get a complete lesson. You don't have to worry about being in the middle of a series. We must start with a very simple, yes, yet life-altering question that we must ask ourselves at every moment of every day, and that is, where am I? To understand that question, I want you to visualize a simple horizontal line. This is the line of consciousness. At any given moment, whether you're stuck in traffic, sitting in a meeting, or you're having a difficult conversation with someone you love, you are either above that line or below that line. There's above the line. When we're above the line, we are open, curious, and committed to learning. We see the world through the lens of abundance. We recognize that even in challenges, there is an opportunity for growth. But when we slip below the line, we become closed, we become defensive, and really important, we really get committed to being right. Have anybody else been there with me? We see the world through the lens of scarcity and threat. We feel like we have to defend our territory, our ego, and our opinions. Now, here's the most important thing. There is no shame in dropping below the line. In fact, as human beings, our biological wiring often pulls us there for survival. The fight or flight response is below the line state. But the truth is, while we inevitably drift below the line, we have the power to choose how long we stay there. Are we going to pitch a tent and live there? The spiritual path is not about being perfectly above the line all the time. It's about the speed with which we recognize and notice that we've dropped below the line, and the grace with which we shift back up. Our first commitment is a commitment to radical responsibility. This brings us to our first and foundational commitment. This is the gateway to a conscious life. Without this one commitment, none of the other 14 in this book can truly take root. You and I have to be willing to take 100% responsibility. In our community, we often speak about the power of the word, the power of choice, the power of our thought. Radical responsibility is the ultimate expression of that power. And so we're going to look at the language of that power. The above the line commitment is I commit to taking full responsibility for the circumstances of my life and for my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. I commit to supporting others, to support them to take full responsibility for their lives. Below the line, I commit to blaming others and myself for what's wrong with the world. I commit to being a victim, a villain, or a hero, and taking more or less than 100% responsibility. When we hear the word responsibility, let's feel a sense of heavy obligation. We think it means fault or blame, but in spirit, responsibility simply means our ability to respond. It is the realization that we are the authors of our own internal experience. In the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, we find a beautiful reminder of our inherent empowerment in 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. Metaphysically, the spirit of power is the divine spark within us. It's the Christ consciousness that reminds us that we are not mere effects of the world around us. We are not cowards who must hide behind excuses or blame. We are endowed with the power of spirit to discipline our own minds and choose our own state of being. Take a deep breath. We are empowered with the power of spirit to discipline our own minds. That's what Julie's going to talk about in her mental health classes. We are endowed with the power of spirit to discipline our own minds and to choose our own state of being. And so there's a paradigm shift. The first major shift in taking radical responsibility is moving from the belief that life is happening to us to the realization that life is happening by us. Most of us were raised in a culture of blame. When something goes wrong, a project fails, or a relationship fails or ends, or we feel unwell, our first instinct is to look outside of ourselves for the cause. That's the victim stance. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore once wrote, "The spiritual substance from which all visible wealth comes is never depleted. It is right with you all the time and responds to your faith in it and demands on it. When we blame others, we are essentially saying that our wealth, our peace, our joy, our well-being depends on them, that we don't have any control. We're saying that our spiritual substance is blocked by somebody else's behavior. But Charles Fillmore reminds us that it is right with us all the time. We always have that power. And when we take radical responsibility, we stop saying this is happening to me and begin asking, how did I contribute to this dynamic? Imagine a man named Robert who is passed over for a promotion. Below the line, Robert blames his boss for playing favorites, or he complains that the company doesn't value hard work. He feels the victim. When he moves above the line, he takes radical responsibility. He doesn't blame himself, but he looks at his part. He says, did I clearly communicate my desire for the position? Did I seek feedback on my performance? Did I stay open for growth? By taking 100% responsibility, Robert regains his power. He is no longer waiting for a better boss to be happy. He's the creator of his own career path. To see how this works, we must recognize the drama triangle. This is a psychological and spiritual trap where you and I, rotate between three roles: the victim, the villain, and the hero. And if all goes well, you're going to see a video.
Or the drama triangle, brought to you by the Conscious Leadership Group. Find them on the web at www.conscious.is. Conscious leaders know the difference between working from presence and working from the drama triangle. Presence is above the line, and drama is below the line. Most leaders and most organizations spend most of their time in the drama triangle. Drama is characterized by blame, wanting to be right, toxic fear, and adrenaline. Like good dramas at the movies, all drama has characters that play certain roles. The drama triangle has a hero, a villain, and a victim. The job of the hero is to seek temporary relief. The keyword is temporary. The hero is the one who gives a hungry person a fish sandwich rather than teaching them how to fish. The hero doesn't want others or themselves to feel bad, so they say and do things that make the immediate pain go away without facing and dealing with the core issue. When I'm exhausted from overworking, I hero myself by eating and drinking mindlessly, or surfing the web, or exercising. When another feels sad, I hero them by saying things like, "It'll be okay," or "I'll do it for you." The hero seeks value by being needed by others. The second role on the drama triangle is the villain. The villain's job is to blame. I can blame myself, others, or blame the group. When I blame myself, I say things like, "I shouldn't have eaten that donut," or "I should work harder," or "I messed up that presentation." When we blame others, we say, "It's your fault we didn't get that project done," or "You didn't give your best effort." When we blame a group, we say, "They messed it up for all of us," or "They just don't get it." The final role on the triangle is the role of victim. The victim is at the effect of. Life is happening to them. For the victim, a person, circumstance, or condition is doing something, or not doing something, that is causing the victim's life to be as it is. I can be at the effect of anything, including my boss, my kids, the weather, my job, the traffic, the economy, my body, and my mood. When I'm in victim, I'm feeling powerless. Every role in the drama triangle is a form of victim consciousness. And in the end, everyone is trying to prove that they are the biggest victim. When people and teams work in presence, the roles change. The victim moves from victim to being the creator. They take responsibility for their lives and stop complaining about what is happening to them. The villain becomes the challenger. Challengers bring healthy pressure to the creator to support them in facing and dealing with their lives in a way that creates a breakthrough. Unlike the villain, they don't blame or criticize. In presence, the hero becomes the coach. The coach doesn't try to fix anyone. They see everyone as fully empowered creators of their own lives and seek to support them in taking responsibility for creating the life they most want. Leaders and teams that learn to play in the creator, coach, or challenger roles of presence find they are more creative, engaged, aligned, and energized. They have more fun and get more things done. So, are you working from presence or the drama triangle?
As the video highlights, every role in the drama triangle is a form of victim consciousness. The victim feels the effect of life. They believe a person, circumstance, or condition is causing their life to be the way it is. The villain seeks to blame either themselves, others, or a group for what is going on. And how many of us are in victim consciousness right now? About our government. The hero seeks temporary relief by fixing things for others, often to feel needed rather than addressing the core issue. The hero role is the sneakiest one of those for those of us on a spiritual path. We think we're being good by taking more than 100% responsibility. And when we do that, we actually disempower others. Radical responsibility means I take 100% of my life. And I have the love to let you take 100% responsibility for your life. It reminds me of that old song, row, row, row your boat. You don't row somebody else's boat and somebody else doesn't row your boat. New Thought pioneer Emily Cady wrote the book Lessons in Truth. And she said, there's a spirit in man and the breath of the Almighty gives him understanding. When we play the hero, we're essentially ignoring the breath of the Almighty in the other person. When we shift into presence, being aware of our own spiritual essence, the victim becomes a creator, the villain becomes a challenger, and the hero becomes a coach. The coach doesn't try to fix anyone. They see everyone as fully empowered creators of their own lives. I have a friend, and I've changed the name to protect their ego. And this friend has a friend who is constantly in financial problems. And for years, Sarah, not her real name, has been the hero, lending money. And then she becomes the villain when her friend doesn't pay her back. And eventually she becomes the villain speaking poorly of her friend. To shift above the line, Sarah must take 100% responsibility for her choice to give. She moves from hero to coach by saying to her friend, I believe in your responsibility to create the life you want, and allow her friend the dignity of their own journey. The philosopher Viktor Frankl, a survivor of concentration camps, famously observed, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Radical responsibility lives in that space. When we are below the line, we feel like we have to react. We're driven by fear or the need to be right. But then when we align with divine mind, we realize that must and should are illusions of the ego. In the space that Viktor Frankl describes, we find our freedom. we realize that we are not responsible for what happens in the world, but we are 100% responsible for how we react to it. We move from complaining about what is happening to us to creating what we want. We've all been stuck in traffic, and it seems to me that the traffic on Wickham Road and Pineda have gotten really bad. Below the line, when I'm sitting there in traffic, I'm the victim if I'm blaming, if I'm the victim if I'm saying, oh, this traffic is making me late, I don't like this traffic. They're doing construction, then I'm in the role of villain because I'm complaining. But if I'm above the line, I recognize I'm in traffic. I can't do anything about it. I can't change the cars. But I'm 100% responsible for my inner state. In that state, I can choose peace. I can choose music. I can choose to call a friend. The traffic doesn't change, but we change. We have transformed a moment of stress into a moment of spiritual practice. And you might ask, if I'm only focusing on taking 100% responsibility for myself, aren't I being selfish? Well, there's this principle that we teach called the principle of oneness. And that's where that comes in. We believe that we're all connected. We're all connected in the one mind. Therefore, the most powerful thing that you and I can do to change the world is to change our own consciousness. We cannot fix the world from a place of victimhood or villainy. When we blame them, the government, the system, and others, we're staying in the drama triangle. Radical responsibility says, I will be the change I wish to see. Just imagine that there's a neighborhood that has an empty lot that's filled with trash. And the neighbors walk by and they complain. They're victim and villain. But one neighbor decides to take radical responsibility. They don't wait for a committee. They simply say, I am responsible for the beauty I see in the world. And they go out with a trash bag and pick up some trash. And soon another neighbor joins in. Within a month, the lot becomes a community garden. This is how the world transforms. Not through blame, but through the ripple effect of individuals taking 100% responsibility for their own visions, for their own values. As we move into this week, I invite you to keep that line of consciousness in your mind. Be gentle with yourself. Remember, the goal is not to stay above the line all the time. The goal is to notice when you're below the line. Just notice. And then you can pause. You can just stop. You can take a deep breath. You can ask yourself, where am I? What is my 100% responsibility in this moment? What is my responsibility right now? So our goal is to notice, to pause, and to claim 100% responsibility. And that makes us the creator. As you do this, you will discover that your joy is no longer at the mercy of the world. You are the creator. You are the presence. You have been given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So my invitation to you is for us to commit to walk this path together. Let's commit to taking radical responsibility for our lives, knowing that when we transform ourselves, we truly do encourage others to make a positive difference in this world. And so it is.